Sometimes the truth hides in the smallest details. A familiar scent that suddenly feels wrong, a smile that doesn't reach the eyes, or a simple bottle of shampoo that turns your whole world upside down. I thought I was just being paranoid, but when I swapped that shampoo, everything I believed about my marriage shattered. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support keeps these true stories alive. Hi, my name is Judith, and this is the story of how I discovered my husband's betrayal in the most unexpected way, through a bottle of shampoo. It all began one normal morning. The kind of morning where everything feels peaceful on the surface, but deep down, something feels off, though you can't explain why. My husband, Ethan, had just come back from one of his so-called business trips. He looked tired, sure, but there was something about him that didn't sit right with me. His face had this glow, not the exhausted kind you get from travel, but something lighter, as if he'd been happy somewhere else. When I hugged him at the door, I noticed his shirt smelled different. Not bad, just unfamiliar. The scent was softer, floral, almost too pleasant for someone who had supposedly been working late nights in another city. I brushed it off, telling myself not to overthink it. We had been married for 8 years. Trust is what keeps a marriage strong, right? But then, the small things started piling up. Ethan was quieter than usual. He would smile at his phone when he thought I wasn't looking. He took longer showers, came home later, and whenever I asked how his day went, he'd give me vague one-line answers like, "You know how work is." I tried to believe him. I wanted to. Then one night, out of nowhere, he brought me a new shampoo bottle. He handed it to me with a grin and said, "You'll love this one. It's the same brand you used to like." That sentence caught me off guard. I hadn't mentioned that brand in over a year, and the last time I used it, it was because Ethan had said he liked the way it smelled. Still, I thanked him, acting normal. But the next morning, when I went to use it, something strange caught my eye. The bottle was half empty. I could swear it was brand new when he brought it home, yet somehow it already looked used. I turned it over, studying the label. It was slightly crooked, like it had been peeled off and stuck back on. My stomach tightened. I opened it and smelled it. The scent was the same brand, but something about it felt off. Too strong, too sweet, almost artificial. I remember standing in the shower thinking, why would he give me this? Later that day, I casually asked him, "Hey, where'd you get that shampoo from? It's not available in most stores." He didn't even look up from his phone. "Oh, just picked it up from a pharmacy near work." But the way he said it, too smooth, too quick, made something inside me twist. That night, when he went to bed early, I couldn't sleep. I felt uneasy. My mind was spinning, whispering things I didn't want to believe. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I checked his wallet. There was no receipt for any pharmacy, but tucked behind a folded note was a small piece of paper with a name scribbled on it. Just a single initial, L. And next to it, a phone number. My heart stopped. I stared at it for a full minute, hoping there was some innocent explanation. Maybe it was a coworker, a friend, but something told me it wasn't. When I looked over at Ethan, he was asleep, facing away from me, breathing slow, calm, peaceful, and that calmness made me angry. That's when I decided I wasn't going to confront him right away. I needed proof. Something undeniable. The next morning, I swapped our shampoo bottles. I poured mine into his, and his into mine. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew this was how I'd find it. For the next 2 days, I watched him carefully. I didn't say a word. Every time he came home late, I'd check his hair towel, his shirt, his gym bag. And then, one evening, I finally noticed it. The scent on his hair was different again. Lighter, sweeter. The same strange smell that had been in that swapped bottle. It meant one thing. He was using a different shampoo somewhere else. My stomach knotted. My hands felt cold. Later that night, when he went for a shower, I sat on the bed, pretending to scroll through my phone. After a few minutes, he came out of the bathroom with a puzzled look. "Did you switch the shampoo?" he asked suddenly. I froze for a moment, then shook my head. "No, why?" He hesitated. "It just smells different." I forced a smile. "Maybe you're just tired." He nodded, but the way he looked at me, half suspicious, half distracted, told me everything I needed to know. That night, when he fell asleep, I waited until his breathing grew steady. Then I picked up his phone from the nightstand. It was locked, of course, but just as I was about to put it down, the screen lit up. A message. The preview showed only a few words, but those few words made my entire world tilt. "Did you like the new scent? Kissy emoji." My throat closed. My hands shook so hard I almost dropped the phone. I sat there, staring at that message, feeling my chest tighten with every heartbeat. Ethan stirred a little in his sleep, and I quickly set the phone back where it was, pretending nothing happened. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every sound, every breath he took beside me felt like a reminder that my life might have been built on a lie. When the sun rose, I got out of bed quietly and went into the bathroom. The shampoo bottle sat on the shelf, innocent looking, mocking me. I picked it up, turned it in my hands, and whispered to myself, "You're going to tell me the truth, one way or another." I didn't know how yet, but something inside me had already changed. The trust, the comfort, it was all gone. Now all that remained was a quiet, burning determination. Because deep down, I already knew Ethan was hiding something, and I was going to find out exactly what it was, no matter how painful the truth turned out to be. When I woke up that morning, Ethan was already gone. No good morning, no coffee brewing in the kitchen, just the sound of silence filling the house. It was strange how quiet everything felt, almost like the walls themselves knew what I had discovered the night before. I sat at the edge of the bed staring at the sunlight filtering through the curtains and thought about that message again. "Did you like the new scent? Kiss emoji." Those words kept replaying in my mind like a broken record. For the first time in 8 years of marriage, I realized I didn't really know who my husband was anymore. That's when I decided I wouldn't just sit and wonder, I'd find proof. I needed to know if he was truly seeing someone or if my mind was making monsters out of shadows. And so I came up with a plan that very morning. When I went to the bathroom, I picked up the shampoo bottle, the same one that had started this whole nightmare. I emptied a little out and added a few drops of green food coloring to it. It wouldn't hurt anyone, but it would leave a light tint, just enough for me to know if Ethan used that bottle somewhere else. It sounds ridiculous, I know, a grown woman mixing food coloring into shampoo, but when your heart is breaking, logic takes a backseat. You just need answers. That night, when Ethan came home, I acted completely normal. I asked about work, laughed at his small jokes, even cooked his favorite dinner. I wanted him relaxed. I wanted him unsuspecting. After dinner, he told me he was heading to the gym. He hadn't gone to the gym in weeks, but I pretended to believe him. "Don't push yourself too hard," I said sweetly, hiding the storm behind my smile. He left the house carrying his gym bag and wearing that same confident look I'd grown to hate. The moment he stepped out, I grabbed my phone and opened our shared calendar app. We used to sync it years ago so we'd never miss appointments. He must have forgotten it was still connected to my phone. I tapped on Ethan's location, and within seconds, a little blue dot appeared. Not at the gym, but across town in a quiet residential area I didn't recognize. My heart started pounding. Without thinking twice, I grabbed my keys, jumped into the car, and followed the route on my phone. The closer I got, the heavier my chest felt. Every red light felt like torture. Finally, I reached the address. It was a small house, the kind with white curtains and potted plants outside the door. A car was parked out front, the same one Ethan drove to work every day. I parked a few houses down and waited. The night was cool, silent except for the occasional sound of crickets. My hands trembled on the steering wheel. 15 minutes passed, then 20, and finally, I saw him. Ethan walked out of the house, laughing softly with someone at the door. I couldn't see her face clearly, but I could see her hair, long, wavy, and golden under the porch light. She leaned closer, whispered something, and for a moment, I saw his hand brush against hers. My stomach twisted. As he turned toward his car, I noticed something faintly glistening on his neck, greenish streaks, glowing slightly under the streetlight. My test had worked. The same green color I had added to the shampoo. That was all the proof I needed. I ducked down quickly so he wouldn't see me as he drove past. My eyes stung with tears, but I couldn't cry. Not yet. I just sat there frozen, listening to the sound of his engine fade away. When I finally drove home, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the wheel. I walked inside quietly, sat down on the couch, and stared at nothing for a long time. He came home an hour later, pretending to be exhausted. "You're still up?" he asked, casually. I smiled faintly. "Couldn't sleep. How was your workout?" He shrugged. "Tiring." I nodded. "You should shower. You look sweaty." He laughed a little and walked into the bathroom, completely unaware that I already knew everything. When he came out, his hair was damp again. This time, I noticed the faint green marks on his towel. I almost wanted to laugh. He had no idea that every lie was now stained in color. That night, I didn't say a word. I just lay next to him, staring at the ceiling, wondering when he had changed. When had the man who once couldn't sleep without holding my hand become someone who could lie to my face without blinking? For the next few days, I observed him closely. He was trying too hard to act normal, cracking jokes, asking if I wanted to go out for dinner, even offering to help with chores he never cared about before. Maybe guilt was eating him alive, or maybe he was just trying to cover his tracks. But then, something unexpected happened. 3 days later, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. At first, I thought it was spam, but then I read the text. "I think you deserve to know the truth about Ethan." My blood turned cold. I stared at the screen, rereading it over and over. My hands trembled as I typed back, "Who is this?" The reply came almost immediately. "Let's just say I didn't know he was married until I saw your picture." My throat dried. Whoever it was, they knew me. That meant she wasn't a random person. She was the one. I took a deep breath and asked, "How did you get my number?" She replied, "I found it saved in his phone under J. He told me you were his cousin." My stomach dropped. He'd actually used my real name, just twisted it into a lie. For a moment, I couldn't move. My chest ached so much it felt like something inside me was breaking apart. Then, another message appeared. "I didn't mean for things to get this far. He said you two were done. I swear I didn't know." I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and replied, "I think we need to meet." She hesitated for a few minutes before responding. "Tomorrow, Cafe Luna, 5 p.m. I stared at the screen, my heart hammering. Tomorrow, I'd finally see the face of the woman Ethan had been hiding from me. That entire night, I couldn't stop thinking about what I would say to her. Would I yell? Would I cry? Or would I just listen? Ethan slept peacefully beside me, completely unaware that his carefully built web of lies was about to unravel. When the morning came, he kissed me on the forehead before leaving for work. I managed a faint smile, even though I wanted to scream. As soon as he left, I sat down at the kitchen table and rehearsed what I'd say to her. I didn't want to go there as the angry wife. I wanted to go as a woman who needed the truth. At exactly 5 p.m., I walked into Cafe Luna. It was small, quiet, the kind of place where secrets felt safe. And there she was, sitting by the window, stirring her coffee nervously. She looked younger than me, maybe late 20s, with the same golden hair I'd seen that night. When our eyes met, she stood up slowly. "Judith?" she asked softly. I nodded, "And you must be Elle." Her eyes filled with guilt as she sat down again. "I'm so sorry. He never told me he was married. He said you'd moved out months ago." My heart clenched. I wanted to hate her, but there was something in her voice. Pain, confusion, regret. She wasn't my enemy. Ethan was. And then she said something that made my world spin. "He used to bring your shampoo to my house. He said it reminded him of home." I froze. My heart stopped for a second. That bottle, the one I had been obsessing over, wasn't just a random clue. It was a symbol, a piece of our marriage that he had carried into another woman's world. Right then I knew. Ethan hadn't just been unfaithful. He'd been living two lives at once, blending them so perfectly that neither of us could see the truth. But that was about to change. Because I wasn't done yet. Not even close. I sat across from her at that cafe, my hands trembling slightly as I tried to hold my cup steady. The woman sitting before me, Lydia, as she finally introduced herself, looked nothing like the kind of person you imagine when you think of betrayal. She wasn't glamorous or manipulative. She looked lost. "I swear, Judith," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I had no idea. He told me you were separated. He said he was waiting for the paperwork to finalize." I stared at her, my throat dry. "And you believed him?" She looked down at her coffee, eyes filling with tears. "I did. He was convincing. He said you had fallen out of love with him, that you didn't even live together anymore." I wanted to scream, to tell her how much I had loved that man, how hard I had tried to hold our marriage together. But I couldn't. The words wouldn't come. I just sat there, silent, listening to her describe the version of Ethan that I didn't know existed. She told me how they had met at a corporate event a few months ago, how he had charmed her, made her feel seen, how he told her stories about me, stories that weren't true. And then the part that shattered me the most. She said softly, "He used to bring your shampoo to my house. He said it made him feel comfortable, like he was home. I froze. My heart stopped for a second. That bottle, the one I had been obsessing over, wasn't just a random clue. It was a symbol, a piece of our marriage that he had carried into another woman's world. I looked up at her and asked quietly, "Does he still see you?" Lydia shook her head, her eyes full of tears. "Not after I found out about you. I ended things. But he doesn't know that you and I'd have talked." I nodded slowly. My chest was heavy with a mix of anger and clarity. I finally had what I came for: the truth.